In this video, I'll be demonstrating how I throw my open casserole. This is a casserole without a lid, and when it's finished, it'll hold about 2.5 quarts. It's good for microwave use, oven use, and of course, like all my pottery, is dishwasher safe. I start using 5 pounds of clay. This is a peach stone stoneware clay from my local supplier. It has a lot of iron in it, so when it fires, it'll be a rich brown color. Looks really great under my rutile green glaze and also some of my blue glazes. The first step is to go ahead and center the clay on the wheel head. And once I have the clay centered, I go ahead and start to open up the form. I spend a lot of time opening this form because it is so wide and has such a large flat base. I want to really take my time opening it and making sure that the clay is compressed. That will help reduce warping and also cracking as the piece dries and later is fired. So you'll see me make quite a few passes along the bottom. For a 2.5 quart casserole, I want to end up with my base to be about 8 3/4 to 9 inches wide and about 4 inches on the side. I use my needle tool to check the depth. Usually when I throw these types of pieces, I'm going to throw between 10 and 20 of the same piece before I move on to the next piece that I work on. So this is the first piece, and as I establish that, I want to check my depth, check my width, get everything set up, and then the subsequent pieces become much easier to throw once I get a little muscle memory going. Here I'm going to use my caliper to measure the width of the base. It's a little shy where I need it to be. Like I said, it's going to be about 8 3/4 inches wide. So I'm going to open that up just a little further. And now that I have the correct width, I'm going to compress the base a few more times before I start to pull up the wall of the form. Now I'm going to start to raise the walls of the piece. Like I said, I need my walls to be about 4 inches tall. These are wet measurements. Of course, the piece will dry significantly, or shrink significantly rather, as it dries. This particular clay body shrinks between 14 and 15%, so it's going to be quite a bit smaller by the time it's fired and completed. I leave the sides on a baking dish a little thicker than I might on a piece like a mug or some other type of item that's not going to be used in the oven. Leaving it a little thicker will help reduce wear and tear on the pot as it's put into the hot environment, taken out of the hot environment over and over. I want to make sure it can withstand the pressure of day-to-day use. Just using a ruler there to make sure that it's the right height. Now I'm going to take a piece of chamois and really compress and roll the rim of the piece so it's nice and strong. And then I'm going to take one more pass in the wall just to straighten it up. Now I'll clean out the water from the inside of the piece. And use my thumb to add a decorative swirl to the base. And then to add some interest to this form, I'd like to alter the rim of the piece so that it's squared. So I'll line up my first 2 sides with actually the pinholes in the bat, which is what I'm feeling for right now with my finger. I'm just squeezing the rim to give it a nice square shape. The nice thing about doing this kind of alteration is that when I go to trim the foot on the piece, the foot is still round even though the top is squared, so it'll still be easy for me to trim. Now I'm going to go ahead and wire it off the bat. And then I'll set it aside to dry before I trim and add handles. Here's some of the completed forms. Thank you very much for watching.